Okay, Daniel 7. We are going to get the next couple chapters of Daniel are all dreams, interpretations, things that happened while Daniel was captive either in Babylon or in Persia, and some of it's flashback, right? So today, when we do Daniel 7, it's going back in time. Obviously, he was thrown in the lion's den historically after his time in Babylon under Belshazzar with Darius the Mede. But when we flash back, it's about 3 years before Daniel 6 takes place, right? So let's just get into it and we will do the best we can. So, visions of Daniel. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. You're going to see at the end of Daniel 7, 28, he tells the sum of the matters to himself. He keeps it to himself. So when we see here that he's writing the dream down, where he tells everything that happens, he doesn't actually physically verbally tell anyone about it. He just writes down what he sees and what his interpretation is, because it does end up getting interpreted for him, right? So Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. Now, this is situating us somewhere. If you don't know, the four winds are always symbolic of the end of the age, right? We see that in Revelation 7. We see that the angels are holding back the four winds so that the elect can get sealed, right? So the four winds are symbolic of the end of this age. Not necessarily the end of time, but the end of linear time, right? The end of linear time, which would be like the time that we live in now. We live in linear time, right? So he sees the four winds of heaven coming against the great sea, which is to say the people, right? We're literally seeing the end of this dispensation of time. Daniel is flashing forward to Revelation. In his dream, he is seeing kind of the same thing that John sees in Revelation. He's moving forward in time. He's moving ahead in time. And this, if you've already studied Revelation with me, you're going to get a lot of familiarity here, okay? Because there's a lot of crossover. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. Now, these are hidden dynasties. These are the ways in which the Antichrist and the whole system are going to rule the world. Okay, these beasts. They are political, they are economic, they are religious, and they are school or education. Okay, so the biggest sort of one that's going to be most symbolic of the Antichrist is the religious one. Politics and economy are used by the supernatural kings and even the kings of the earth that you're going to see rising up that you should already be familiar with if you've studied Revelation with me. Okay, so these are not going to sound surprising to us if you've studied this, all right? The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld, till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted from the earth and made stand up as the feet of the man, and a man's heart was given to it, right? And he said what he's seeing is he watched the beast go from an institution, i.e., religion, to the head of the institution, i.e., the Antichrist. Okay, you're going to get a lot of references to the Antichrist here. Fourth beast, little horn. These are all languages around the same man, which is to say, Satan in his office or in his role as Antichrist, right? And these, you can flip to Revelation 13:2 if you want. They're the same. Let's just really quickly flip there. Revelation 13:2. You've already studied this with me. You already know it, but I'm going to flip us there anyway. You're going to hear the same thing. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were as the feet of a bear. His mouth was as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, his seat, and his great authority. Okay, this isn't a beast. This is a multi-organization system. Politics, economics, education, and religion. right? This is how people get divided and destroyed. When you go on a first date, what do they always say? Don't talk about finances. Don't talk about the economy. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion, right? And I personally, I cannot tell you how many people are so offended if I put PhD in my title. All the time. People are so insecure about how much education I have. It's crazy. So people will absolutely use all these things as a weapon against you. And so we see that these four beasts are really four different ways in which people get entrapped in the system and get divided in the system. And the religious one, is the one the Antichrist really comes into, okay? Because he's going to pretend to be Christ. And behold, another beast, a second, like unto a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh, right? Um, I would guess this is probably the political system, because it is all consuming, but it could also be the economic system. I think it is the political system because it's like a slumbering bear. It's something I don't think people are fully aware of in the way that they're super aware of like money and economy. Now we're getting more aware of political systems, but for a long time it was just something that we just kind of went along with and didn't think about the people we elect are making our laws. So it was like a sleeping bear a little bit. But again, um, it is one of the other 3. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it. See, I tend to think this is the economic beast, right? Because it's very swift. Like money is a swift thing. It's always very reactive, it's very volatile. You know, if you see an issue in the world, it automatically reflects in like the stock market or the money system. So I tend to think this one is more money based. But again, it also, the fact that it has 4 heads, one is symbolic of those 4 dynasties even there. Because money is in all those dynasties. It's in education, it's in religion, it's in politics, and of course it's in the economy. So I tend to think that that's why the leopard is symbolic of that money system, because it's fast and it's fast acting and it's swift to change, and it's something that it's hard to track. But again, the dominion was given to it is also part of why I tend to think this is financial, because the one world money system is going to be the big way that the Antichrist controls people. Like, here's this money, you know. So I tend to think that this one is the most most likely to be the economy. And of course, after this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Now, again, this is the Antichrist. Daniel, it's going to get interpreted for us by the angel of the Lord. Okay, we're going to see that in Daniel 7:23 and 24 and 25. Okay, so it's going to get interpreted for us that it is the Antichrist. But again, he's different. The way he shows up is different than the other 4 organizations. Like, yes, he is in charge of them all, honestly. And he is sort of representative of the religious because he's going to call himself Christ. But he, as his own beast, this is like what Revelation 13:11 tells us. It's like he is the religious beast. Religion itself is a beast, right? Religion itself is an antichrist spirit. Religion itself is a dividing thing. The Roman Catholic Church, right, is a dividing thing. Most denominations are dividing things. So religion functions as its own beast, but also the head of that system specifically is its own beast, and it's the little horn, it's Antichrist. Okay, and he is going to be very powerful. And these metals, strong, great iron teeth. Well, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit because the metals are going to be talked about elsewhere. So I'll just when we see things like iron and brass, we should be hearkening back to Daniel 2, right? Those kingdoms, the iron and the brass are at the bottom of it. And so he sees what is told to us in Revelation 13. Remember, there's about 1,000 years in between Daniel getting this vision and John. Not 1,000, 100. I would say 100. Sorry, Daniel's about 100 years. Maybe more. Maybe it is close. There's 400 years of nobody knows what's going on. Between 400 BC and 0 BC. Daniel's around 500 BC, and John's 96 AD. So let's say maybe about 600 years in between 100 and 1,000. So let's say maybe 500, 600 years in between Daniel seeing Revelation 13 played out and John going and seeing Revelation 13. And both of those times are looking at something we haven't even experienced yet in this time. John saw 2,000 plus years into the future, and Daniel sees like 2,500 years into the future, right? So it's pretty wild what we see here. And so we see that he's diverse from all the beasts that were before him, right? Because he's a man that's acting like Christ. And it had 10 horns. This should sound familiar. This should sound exactly like the beast that we see in Revelation 17 and also Revelation 13, right? It's the 10 supernatural kings, the supernatural entities, top generals that come with Satan as Antichrist. I considered the horns, right? Like I looked at them. And behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and beheld, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things, right? And again, horns are symbolic of power, right? So he's seeing this structure take place. He's seeing the 2 beast structure from Revelation 13. He's seeing the animals, which is symbolic of the different political, economic, religious, and educational systems that are already taking place. He's seeing those. He's seeing the 4 kings in the 4 earthly kings that kind of rise up. He's seeing the 10 supernatural kings that rise up. And then he sees the Antichrist rise up. And they're all very powerful. They're all very powerful. Daniel's going to be really upset by this vision. Okay. And so he sees the one world political and economic system that the Antichrist is going to rule with. He sees that in his dream, okay? So we want to just be mindful of that. But that is not all Daniel sees. Okay, so Daniel also sees, I beheld until the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as a burning fire. Right? Like, Daniel doesn't just see the Antichrist system rise up. He also sees into Revelation 20, where God himself comes down and casts it all down. Because God is always the Ancient of Days, not Christ. God is the Ancient of Days. So he sees essentially the Great White Throne Judgment. And he sees God himself coming down in just pure goodness. And his throne's like a fiery flame, and his wheels a burning fire. Yeah, because his wheels are the vehicles that transport the throne. Okay, people don't realize that God has a vehicle. He has plenty of vehicles. Ezekiel 1 describes those vehicles. They're like this. And if you're like, hey, that sounds like a UFO, it should. UFOs are unidentified to man, not to God. God created them. Okay. And so he uses He uses, wheels, whirling discs, vehicles. So he comes down in his chariot, in his vehicles, in his UFOs, as they were, with on his throne. The whole throne gets transported. Ezekiel 1 talks more about how that happens. A fiery stream, this is the Holy Spirit, a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000s times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open, right? This is the great white throne judgment, because we already have a whole bunch of people who have overcome in that first judgment when Christ returns, right? So what we see here is these people, the thousands and thousands and 10,000s who are ministering unto the Lord have already come through the millennium. They've already come through the first judgment. Like they're overcomers. They're the elect. They're the sealed. They are ministering unto God. But he also sees the judgment being set and the books were open, right? So he's watching the great white throne judgment in Revelation 20 here. Okay. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. Right? He sees when the Antichrist is destroyed, which happens at Christ's return. So he's seeing all the things transpire. He's seeing, a year's worth of time. He's seeing a millennia's worth of time, because that great white throne judgment happens after the millennium. Like he's seeing time isn't really existing for Daniel in this moment, because he's seeing a lot of things that take time, linear time, to transpire. And so he sees where we're told that the beast's body gets thrown in the lake when Christ returns. We see that in Revelation 19. Babylon gets destroyed, the Antichrist gets destroyed, 7,000 of Satan's top minions get destroyed. Like when Christ comes, he does rain down judgment to some degree. It's not the great white throne judgment, though. That's where Satan is destroyed. That's where hell is destroyed. That's where the books are open and people are blotted out. And so Daniel's seeing it all in this vision that he's having at night. And again, the horn spake the great words. We haven't actually seen that yet. It's going to get interpreted for us in Daniel 7:25. The great words that he speaks, I'll just tell you, is against God. Okay, they're words against God. It's the Antichrist is the horn, and he speaks against God, and Christ destroys him when he comes. Now, remember, the other beasts, some of that system that goes, God, Christ does destroy it. He destroys Babylon, he destroys certain things, but it's not fully destroyed because Satan is still alive until the end of Revelation 20, until that great white throne judgment. And we're going to see that here in Daniel 7:12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Right? So he's seeing the Antichrist getting done away with when Christ comes, but he sees that the beasts, education, religion, politics, and economy, those things that Satan really worked through, they're not fully done. Why? Because Satan is allowed to be in the pit, and he's going to come back, and he's going to use the same tactics he always does at the end of the millennium. So they're still in existence. The evil, anti-godly kind of system, it's still in existence because Satan's still in existence. That's what Daniel's talking about here. So it's not well and truly done until God does away with Satan himself, which doesn't fully happen until, God himself comes. Which, again, he is going to see that because he's seeing all of it. So he sees, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, right? He sees Christ come, he sees the Ancient of Days, he sees them link up, like he's seeing all the things. And he sees there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, right? So Daniel is seeing the full scope. He's getting a glimpse, I'd say, in this moment, even into the eternity. Right? He's describing the eternity. He's describing the time after Satan has done away with here. Right? So it's a really sobering is the word I want. It's a really sobering dream for Daniel to have because he's seeing events that are still 3,000 years away in his time. He's seeing 3,000 years into the future. And so now I want you to get this. I'm going to read this next verse and I really want you to understand this. You ready? I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. Daniel has seen Jesus, he has seen God, and he has seen into the eternity. Daniel knows how the book ends, Daniel knows how life ends, and he's still extremely grieved by what he's seeing because it's a very hard thing to watch the brethren be deceived. And they will be deceived. And some will choose not God. And it's a very hard thing. Like Daniel's not happy about what he's seeing here. And he's kind of hoping to get a better understanding of what he's seeing because he doesn't fully understand it. He's got the dream, he doesn't quite yet have the interpretation. So the fact of the matter is, even though Daniel sees presumably into the eternity, into the kingdom that has no end, run by the Ancient of Days, which is to say our Father, and the Son of Man, which is to say Christ, he's still really bothered by the cost that it takes to get us there. Okay, so just be very, very aware of that. There's a lot of sadness in Daniel for the people who don't make it, who don't want to make it, who don't make it into the eternity because they choose the false one, right? And so, Daniel, again, he's grieved in the spirit because he's still in the spirit. And so, in the spirit, what he does is, I came near unto one of them that stood by. Right? So he's still in the spirit as he's coming near to this person. And I asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. Now, probably the person who is kind of with Daniel, letting him see this message and letting him get this vision, would be the angel of the Lord, right? It has to be somebody who is high enough up in the rankings of the Father to show Daniel this kind of prophetic event. Now, we see this in Revelation. It's God to Jesus, Jesus to the angel to John, John to us. It's a hierarchy to go through to see these kind of very advanced end events. So we can presume that this angel is one who has a very high understanding, a high ranking, possibly the Lord himself, possibly the angel of the Lord himself, because it probably gets interpreted for Daniel by the Lord himself. Because not a lot of people who aren't God can allow this kind of understanding, right? And we see that in Revelation also. And so, we don't want to touch this interpretation if it is from the Lord himself. So we're going to read it. I'm not going to be able to add a lot to it because this is the Father speaking through the angel of the Lord. The great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth, right? So these are the four kings, which is to say four leaders, all of whom are conducting business, like kings do. What are kings in control of? Well, if you do a study, they are in control of politics, economics, religion, and education. This is what they do, right? This is the way that people function in society. And so we see these kings, which are in control of these dynasties, which are high levels in the earth. And of course, the earth kings are not godly people. These are not people who are here for the Lord and his agenda, right? And so the four beasts are the four kings that come out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Right? So we see that with the elect. We see that with the people who minister unto the Lord. We see that with the people who are sealed. Now, that is an end state. Okay, that is an end state, because we're about to also see further down that in the Great Tribulation, the saints are being overcome by the Antichrist. You're going to see that. So this Daniel 7:18, the saints, the elect, the overcomers, they will possess the kingdom forever. We see that in the millennium. We see that in the eternity. But there's a moment in time where they're being overcome. And you're going to see that. Okay. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. Right? This is what we just saw him see in Daniel 7:7. This is the same beast. It's the same one. This is the Antichrist. These are the same. I told you to check this out, right? Daniel chapter 2, we've got the iron and we've got the brass, right? We have these metals that are indicative of the bottom of the system. In Daniel 2, we have the iron, right? His belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part iron and part of clay, right? So the brass and the iron are the lower parts of this Babylonian dynasty, this anti-godly agenda. And he's the voice of this system, right? He has teeth that are of iron. He has nails that are of brass. He should sound kind of like a devourer because he is, right? That's one of his names, the devourer. And so we see that this is the Antichrist. He is the fourth beast with teeth of iron, nails of brass, and who devours, right? We see him as a devourer. And of course, of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other one which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. Right? This is just talking about Satan and his role as Antichrist with his 10 supernatural kings. This is just what it is, right? So we know the fourth beast, know the truth of the fourth beast, diverse from all others. Of course, that's going to be Satan. And then we see the horn, which has eyes and that speaks great things and who looks stout. That is, of course, Antichrist, Satan in his role as Antichrist. And then the 10 horns, which are in his head, that is, of course, the 10 supernatural kings that come with him. Where have we heard this before? Revelation 13, Revelation 17, right? We've already heard about this because we have the whole book at our disposal. And Daniel, of course, did not have the whole book at his disposal at the time. So he's getting the interpretation right from the Lord himself. And he's telling, and he's telling him, right? So this false one, this Antichrist, this one that is anti-godly, who is of Satan, he, Daniel beholds, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Right? This is what we're seeing here. We're seeing that Antichrist does get the upper hand over the saints. And we're told this in Mark 13:20. Christ literally tells us, he's like, if I didn't shorten the days, even the elect would be fooled. Even the elect would be deceived and no flesh would be saved. Okay, so I really just want that to sink in because it is very serious. Even the elect would be fooled. The Antichrist, this is not even Satan. It is, but it's not. In the same way that Jesus is God, but he isn't. The Antichrist as a role, as a place that Satan kind of plays, is very, very good. He's very deceitful. And if God and Jesus did not come and save the elect, there would be no flesh saved. Okay? Zero flesh saved. And again, until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom, right? Do you see that? The time does come where the saints possess the kingdom after the Ancient of Days comes, after we see God intervene. God has to intervene. He has to shorten the days. He has to send Christ. And of course, after the millennium, he has to send himself, because Satan really is that good. He is really that good. In the first earth age, he took a third of God's children. Billions, billions, billions followed Satan. At the end of the millennium, even after being with Christ and the elect, billions are probably going to follow him. It's going to be a very sad day. This is why Daniel's grieved in the spirit as he's seeing it. Yes, there is an overcoming, and yes, there is the eternity, and yes, it is great and beautiful, but at what cost? The cost of people who chose death, the cost of people who wanted to choose death, right? It is a very painful thing, for sure. Okay, sorry about that. So the system, let me just keep reading really quickly. Thus he said, this is the angel of the Lord, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Right? This fourth beast coming out, this religious beast, this antichrist pretending to be Christ, uniting everybody under his banner, under his flag, is going to be the worst beast, because people are going to whore after him. This is the idolatry. This is the spiritual impregnation that God is always warning against. You know, this is why we're told, you know, woe to you with children, as spiritual children. Woe to you with different ideas. This is why there's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth, because people are going to be following the false one. And so, well, let's just keep going, because it's still pretty bad. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are the 10 kings that shall arise, right? This is already interpreted for us, not a hard thing. And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings, right? This is the same point over and over again. The Antichrist is going to come after the 10 kings, after we see the beast system. And again, the beast system with the 4 kings that are leaders are the economic, political, religious, and education systems. We're already seeing that in the world. Okay, that's already happening. Those systems are already hugely imbalanced, hugely problematic, hugely anti-godly, right? So we're seeing that kind of everywhere. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. And the supernatural fallen angels are the 10 supernatural kings. They're coming at the 6th seal. Some of them are coming at the 5th seal. Some of them are already here, probably. If they're not here, they're on their way soon. And this is what I mentioned before. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. This is what I'm talking about, right? He'll wear out the saints of the Most High. He will be speaking that I am God, right? How else do you speak against the Most High God? He's not saying, oh, I paused the recording to give her love, and it wasn't enough, as you can tell. So she's fine. She wants play. So I'm going to keep teaching, guys. Sorry. It's not saying that he's going to outright say God is bad. No, what he's going to be doing is saying, I am God. Right? That's the message he's going to be saying. I am God, which is blaspheming the Lord. He's breaking the commandment. Right? Have no gods before me. He's breaking that commandment, making himself a god, and causing the brethren to follow that. They're going to be breaking it too. When they say, wow, this guy is so great, I love Christ, they're blaspheming the true Christ. When they say, oh, wow, he's the one, they're putting a false god above the true God, and they're not going to realize it. And so when it says he'll speak great words against the Most High, what he's going to be saying is, I'm God, follow me. That's the message. And he's going to wear out the saints of the Most High, because they gonna be speaking against him, and he's gonna be putting a system in place that's really hard to get by. And this again, the system, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of a time. Right? So the elect will be delivered up to him. Like, make no mistake, there will be some who are delivered up to the Antichrist. Like Daniel was delivered up to Darius, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were delivered up to Nebuchadnezzar. There will be those who are delivered up to the Antichrist, little horn, at the end times. Okay? And again, they are going to be given into his hand. They'll be safe. You do not premeditate what you're going to say. God will speak through the people at the time, and even the gainsayers will believe it. Okay, so you'll be converting a lot of people, but you will be getting delivered up. You will not be getting killed though, because they can't kill you. They cannot even harm a hair on your head. They can keep you in captivity for 10 days. Okay, and that's not everybody, but that's some of us. And so, the time, and the dividing time, right? Now, at one time, that was originally 3.5 years. Tribulation was originally 3.5 years. People who say it was 7 years are doubling the number. It was always and only 3.5. A time, and a half time. But look, this is a time and times and the dividing time, right? So we're only getting 2.5 because it's half. 2.5 months is half of the 5 months we see in Revelation 9, right? It's a very short time. Satan has a very short season. It is not even years, it is months, because he is that good. Unfortunately, God has to shorten the time so the elect are saved. And everybody's going to be here, and most people are going to be deceived. Okay? And so the words that he's speaking against God are, I'm God, which automatically means he's God. God is not God. And him changing the laws, he will. The whole world is going to be under his legal system. The whole world's going to be under his economic system. The whole world's going to be under his religion. Okay? And so it won't last, of course, right? But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end, right? The judgment that's Christ. Christ comes. Christ is the judgment that sits. Christ is the one that destroys the system. The Babylon system goes away when Christ returns. The Antichrist goes away when Christ returns. Satan doesn't go away until the Great White Throne Judgment, so it's not fully gone, but Christ comes and he puts a lot of it away. Again, if you've studied Revelation, this should sound exactly the same. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve him and obey him, right? There's no negative. By the time we get into the eternity, there's everything that is evil is gone. And so Daniel is seeing that end time. He's seeing that end goal. He's seeing that God wins and the Most High is the kingdom that we are all going to be in. Right? And so hitherto is the end of the matter. That's true, actually. It is. That's how it ends. It ends with peace supreme. God on his rightful throne in the New Jerusalem that is on earth. Christ ruling as the king, the elect ruling with them, right? And then people who are in their ranks, the people who overcome in the millennium that choose life will get their positions. The people who do not overcome and who do not choose life will be annihilated. There is no place for them in the kingdom that is eternal. There's no place for evil in the kingdom that is eternal, right? And so hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart, right? He keeps it within himself. It's very hard for Daniel to see what is coming. There is absolutely a knowledge, a burden, a weight to knowledge. Okay, there just is. I can't tell you there's not. When you know much, God expects much, but also it's heavy because a lot of people don't know the things. Nobody knows this in the whole world in Daniel's time but Daniel. You know how heavy that is? Daniel's the only person that knows the end of life. So yeah, of course he's greatly troubled, right? It's hard when you're a prophet and you know the truth of the Lord, you have to have the capacity to hold that information, right? And so what Daniel does is he writes it down. He's troubled by it. His countenance changes within him, which is to say his whole demeanor, his whole disposition, his whole emotional weight changes, but he doesn't talk about it. He keeps the matter to himself. All he does is write it down. All he does is hold on to it. God will tell him also in later, in Daniel 11 and 12, when he gives him more of these visions, he's going to tell him, seal it up. Seal it up and don't tell anybody. Right? So Daniel knows a lot of things that the people in his time do not get to know. So it is very heavy for Daniel to deal with the deception and the Babylon that is to come, right? Because Daniel is in Babylon as he's seeing these visions. He knows he's already given Nebuchadnezzar the dreams, right? Interpretations. So Daniel knows about the chapter 2 kingdom, Babylonian kingdom structure, right? And so he knows the Babylon that he is in, because remember, in Daniel 7, he's still in Belshazzar's time. 3 years before Mene, Tekel, Upharsin in Daniel 5, and Darius the Mede in Daniel 6. So he's in Babylonia. He's in the Chaldeas at the time. And he sees that this system, he sees the full extension of the system from where he is in Babylon to what it's going to be, at the end of it. And he sees that vision come to life of the statue getting broken into pieces. But he gets a real good insight on the brass and the iron part of it with the Antichrist and Satan as the devourer in his role as Antichrist, and how widespread the system will be and how greatly deceptive it'll be, right? So it should sound exactly like Revelation 13, should sound exactly like Revelation 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, because it is the same God. It's the same events. It's the same things transpiring. So Daniel sees the entire scope of the Babylonian captivity, his time to our time. Right. And so we'll hear more about some of his visions. He's going to get some more about the Babylonian system and Alexander the Great coming and all of these things. So we will talk more about it, but hopefully that is good insight. Hopefully that's helpful. Like I said, Daniel is the revelation of the Old Testament, and I'm sure you can see why. So I'll see you guys on the next video.